Now, for the highlight of the evening, an opportunity to delve deeper into the intricacies and nuances of evaluation mastery. And we have with us a person who's been 3 times Distinguished Toastmaster, 6 times district winner, World Championship semi-finalist 2024, an IT consultant in Dubai for 13 years. And he says he has 2 kids, but only 1 wife, 10 years in Toastmasters. And his hobbies are, other than Toastmastering, movies, rock music, and something that I found very interesting, torturing people with his cooking. But one thing people remember him for is for him being extremely humorous. I think we mustn't waste any more time as we now offer the stage to Distinguished Toastmaster Hashim Haleem. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Divya. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. It's great to be here at Specialized Evaluation Club, Champion Evaluators Advanced Toastmasters. Wonderful that you take the trade of evaluation very seriously, I must say, and are looking to find the best way to actually give feedback to your respective speakers. So since you all are advanced evaluators, quick question to everybody. It's just simple to break the ice and get the ball rolling. Why do we evaluate at all? Can't we just let the speaker enjoy the limelight? Do we have to rub it in with our feedback? Why do we evaluate at all? Anybody?
To help them improve. To help them improve.
Sorry?
To help them improve.
Yes, yes.
To help them improve, absolutely. That's why we evaluate, to help them improve. Who all? Yeah, sorry. Okay. Who all do you think improve from your evaluation?
People who are open to feedback.
People who are open to feedback, yes, they improve.
Both the evaluator as well as the person who is given, and everyone.
So 3 people. We have the speaker, we have the evaluator,
and
themselves, and the audience. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. This is for everybody. Why is it for the evaluator? It's just desserts that if you gave someone feedback, you would apply that to your speeches as well. Otherwise, there's no point trusting what you're saying, right? Absolutely. So if you give feedback to somebody, you apply to your speech as well. And everyone who's listening gains from it. One point which Divya brought up right now was that the people who improve are the ones who are open to feedback. True. What if they are not open to feedback? How do we get them to accept your evaluation? So the idea should be that our evaluation is presented in such a way that they are open for feedback. You're never going to get an audience that is completely ready to take whatever you're giving them, neither in an evaluation, nor in a humorous, nor in an international. You're never going to get an audience that is 100% on board to receive everything that you're giving them. It's in the way that you give them that they will accept it. It's the same. If you get a gift, you brought somebody a fantastic new gift, you throw it at them, they're not going to accept it. Nobody's going to accept it. But you give it to them nicely, doesn't matter what's in the box, they're still going to accept it. So it's in the way we present our evaluations as well. Very quickly, let's look at a few slides. I don't really like slides, but it's just a Toastmasters tradition that we use slides. So we can see how creative I am with my opening slide. All right, we start at exactly where we need to start. How are evaluations scored, right? So as you can see, the big 2 boxes on top, 40% for your analysis and 30% on your recommendations. One thing that you don't notice here is something that many people may have told you before. The positives and the negatives. This is how evaluations are scored. No, that's not how evaluations are scored. Evaluations are scored on your analysis and your recommendations, right? Not on positives and negatives. So when we talk about analysis, We're talking about what techniques has the user used, how have they connected with the audience, what all different scenarios did they present in their speech, the structure of the speech. This is a complete thorough analysis of everything that has happened on stage while the duration of that speech was going on, right? And recommendations are how you would present the speech or what you think would help improve the speech. Please remember, the eligibility to give an evaluation is just that you are a Toastmaster. You do not need a PhD from Harvard to be able to give an evaluation. So your recommendation is, in a nutshell, your opinion on how you think the speech could have been presented better. So don't pressurize yourself too much. It's your recommendation. Technique, sympathetic, empathetic, taking the audience with you, connecting and presenting. And do not forget to summarize whatsoever. It's something that people often forget in club meetings, but make it a part of your presentation itself. 15 marks is only for summarizing. And if you have strict judges, which you usually do, if you do not summarize, you get a 0, which means all the hard work that you've done goes to waste, right? So remember to summarize at any cost. So 40% for your analysis, 30% for your recommendations, 15% for the technique, and 15% for your summation. All right. The beauty of the evaluation contest is that you have one speaker who's got like a big target tied around his neck, his or her neck, and you've got 8 people who are aiming darts at them. And the question is only who's going to hit the bullseye. The problem is there's just one target, right? There's just one speech that all of them are evaluating. And how do you expect that all evaluations are going to be different? Or how do you expect one evaluation to be better than the other? That's what we are here to find out. And the structure that I'm going to be using is called the 3 P's of evaluation. I know there are no P's at all in evaluation, but bear with me here. They are preparation, presentation, and packaging. All right, so very quickly, preparing for the evaluation. So for those of you who are not familiar with the evaluation speech contest, how it is if there are 8 contestants who will be evaluating a mystery speaker, the 8 evaluators draw lots to decide who is going first, second, third, and except the first person, the remaining 7 will be in a room, in a separate room, when the evaluations are being presented. First, everyone is in the same room, and there is a mystery speaker who comes up on stage and presents their speech. You have the duration of the speech at that point of time to take notes, right? And after that, you are moved to a soundproof room where you have 5 minutes to prepare your notes. And then the notes are collected from you and you are called one by one to present your evaluation speech. So while the speaker is on stage, observe closely and take notes on various aspects of the speech, content, delivery, language, point of view, etc. Now, even if this was not a contest and this is just your normal club meeting and you are evaluating a speaker, it's important that you pay attention to what's happening on stage. The speech as such doesn't start when the speaker starts speaking. You are allowed to see their body language while they are getting ready to speak, while they are shaking hands with the presenter or whoever is conducting that session. Everything that they do is open for you to understand their confidence and how they have presented the speech. It's not just the big things. Sometimes the difference between 2 evaluators is their focus on the little things that make that speech special, right? So everything that the speaker does while they're on stage is open for you to take notes on. How do you take notes when the speech is going on? There are different templates that you can use if you want to be able to organize your thoughts. One such example here is the COD template. COD simply means content, organization, and delivery. So you can partition the paper that's given to you into different sections for your content, for what you think is good in the content, what do you think can be better, the organization of the speech, and how was the delivery, what you liked about it, what you did not, all of these. So you can use the paper to segregate it. If organization is too much, just 2 columns, content and delivery can also work. You can put a line below in the center to do content positives, content areas of improvement, delivery positives, delivery areas of improvement, and collect your content that way. Or you can leave out this template altogether and you can go with I saw, I heard, I felt. What did I see? What did I hear? And what did I feel at the different moments of the speech? This will help you structure what was done. Now, remember what I said at the beginning. It's not about pluses and minuses. It's about the analysis, is about the techniques that are used. So when it comes to content, think about stuff like how was the personal story presented? Was there a strong character and did that character come out? Were you able to visualize that character through the words that the speaker was saying? Was there dialogues? Was there a call to action at the end? Was the opening and the closing tying in with each other? Was there one central message or was it all over the place? These are the kind of techniques that you want to use in terms of your content. In terms of your delivery, you can see the gestures, the body language, the characterizations, the way dialogues were presented, the usage of the stage. And in an overall thing, you can look at things that caught your attention. Were there good language or good usages, triads, alliterations, sound words, different, whatever was different in that speech. All of these need to be observed. Now, I personally don't use any template. What I like to do is take down notes of the different things that are happening in front of me, things that stick in my mind. Sometimes I tend to use different colored pens to actually indicate the areas that I thought were brilliant or need some improvement or I would have done differently. Just mark it in different colors. Or you can use it in sections like analysis A and improvements I and mark it in that paper itself. But I like to make sure that my notes are thorough. One important thing to remember is that whether it's a contest or it's a meeting, the one who's presenting that speech has put a lot of effort to actually build up that speech and come and present it. So if you are the evaluator during a normal club meeting, it's important for you to actually read through the manual. And I'm not talking about just the evaluation sheet, the actual project manual, to understand what is contained in this project, what preparation needs to be done for this presenter to be able to present this project to you. Understanding that goes a long way in actually being able to give constructive feedback. You can't give a general brush through for every speech, obviously, not at a club meeting, because each speech or each project in the pathways has a very specific objective. And in pathways, you have the full manual available for you. You don't need to search for a book. It's downloadable for everybody, right? So make sure you do the preparation in advance of knowing what the project is, knowing what is needed for you to be able to prepare it, and observing whether the presenter has actually gone through and covered all of those areas. Now, sometimes it may be a speech that you have not, it may be a project that you have not done before. There are a lot of electives that we may not have chosen when we did that particular path or not. Well, don't fret. You can always connect with somebody who has and understand what is meant by each of these sections or what needs to be done for each of these sections. Imagine that you have to evaluate a speaker who has presented or done a blog and is talking about it, and you have little to negative knowledge about what goes into or what are the techniques that are needed to be able to successfully build that particular blog, or what is the Toastmasters way of thinking about it, right? You may have your own way. However, what is the Toastmasters way of thinking about it? So these kind of things, do go through the manual and seek help if you need some advice on how to actually effectively evaluate this particular project. When you give your project evaluation, remember to first balance it out against the objectives or the purpose statement of that speech. and then give the general advice. Right? General advice too has a place in it. However, the primary focus will be on the objectives of that particular project. All right, so now we have prepared and we've got a lot of notes ready on for us to be able to evaluate this particular speech. But lo and behold, Toastmasters gives us only 3 minutes. Yeah, I know you've written a whole book in terms of your evaluation, but you only get 3 minutes to be able to present it. So how do we structure in such a way that it's effective? This is where your presentation comes in. Organize and prioritize your points. You don't need to give everything under the sun. You need to give the strongest points, which you think will make the best impact. Remember one thing about your evaluation, right? The purpose of this evaluation is that that very speaker can give the same speech in a better way if they present it on after applying your suggestions. This is it. So telling somebody, look, I think, if you work out at the gym for 6 months and then come back, you'll be able to present this much better is not a suggestion, right? That's not something that is feasible, can be done. So remember that you prioritize what are the important points that are going to add the maximum impact. And if it is a contest, has more strategic value and will create an impact on the audience and the judges as well. If there are additional points, you can meet with the speaker at a later stage and share those points with them for their improvement. But focus on the ones which are having the maximum impact and which will create the biggest difference in that particular speech. Start and finish positively. You only win if that speaker comes back and improves. Only then, right? We all don't give evaluations to get a trophy. The trophy is that that particular speaker is able to improve and come back. So if you give a very clinical, hardcore, knife stabbing evaluation, he's not coming back. I mean, picture this. The speaker has given a speech. You go up on stage in your typical manner and say, what a speech. It's good so far. What a speech. What a speech. What was that speech? Gone. That guy is never coming back. Believe me, that speaker is never coming back. And on second part, you will never be invited to evaluate again. So be positive, right? Your success lies in that speaker accepting your suggestions, putting it together, improving, and coming back. Yep. Now be honest. Where it needs to improvement, suggest them and present it in a nice way that this is how I feel you will be able to do better. Right? And always note, there is no should. There is no but. In my opinion, or I would suggest, or in my point of view, these are things you can add to enhance your speech. It's not you should do this. We're not commanders in the army or generals in the army, right? We're giving suggestions and these are just our opinions. So be honest and present it in a nice, positive manner. Always, always, always remember to summarize. So the 3 minutes that you have, remember that a certain 10 seconds odd or 15 seconds is only for the summary. So effectively, you only have 3 minutes and a maximum of 15 seconds that you can use. But I would suggest think of it as 2 minutes and 45 seconds, right? Always, always, always summarize. Practice timing yourselves. You have certain hints always with you, and those are your timing lights, right? These are telling you, Hashim, it's time to stop. So when you see the green, remember the different sections that you have your opening, you have your analysis, then you have a transition into your recommendations, a transition into your summary, and then a closing statement. This is your typical structure. Remember, by the time you hit the green light, you need to have finished your analysis and started out on your recommendation. If you have not done that and you see the green light, stop what you're doing, transition into your recommendations. In case there is something else you want to add, you can come back later and add it. However, right now, you need to move to your recommendations. You remember, recommendations are 30%, so they are important as well. So you need to give strong recommendations. And despite what we see in the judges' scorecard, it's usually the people who give good suggestions who stand a better chance of winning that speech, that evaluation contest, right? So you need to give yourself enough time to give suggestions. Now, when it comes to suggestions, my suggestion is that you keep maybe 2 or maximum 3 suggestions. Your analysis could be 5 points and your suggestions could be 2 or 3. If you pick 2, I would say one should be on your content and the other should be on delivery, right? The matter and the manner. That's what would make a composite evaluation. So by the time you hit the green light, you need to start your recommendations or you need to be already in the recommendations. When you see the amber light, you know that the closing is coming up, right? We need to wrap up, we need to get through with it. So wrap up your recommendations, go on to your summary. You don't want to see the red and pressurize yourself, but if you do see the red, you know it's time to go home, right? Get that closing line in, your bang on ending, and get out of there. Remember one important thing, right? Your evaluation is a speech. And what do we know about speeches? Opening, body, and conclusion. Everything we spoke about is the body. You need an attractive opening to begin, and you need a bang on conclusion to finish the speech. Anyone remembers why we need a bang on conclusion? Anybody? You can unmute and shout it out, guys.
For me, conclusion is what you want a speaker to achieve in their next speech.
Okay. No, but for your evaluation or for any speech that you give,
Correct.
why do you need a really strong ending?
To create an impact.
To create an impact? Yes.
I feel you should
Anything
end it on
else?
a high note.
You need to end it on a high note, absolutely. See, what typically happens once you finish your speech? Yes, the audience starts clapping. That's fine. But something else happens. The judges pick up their pens to start marking you. So if the energy is high, the 75 becomes an 80. If the energy is low, the 75 becomes a 70, right? So you want to end on a high note, that's for sure. The last bit is what the audience will remember. Nobody remembers the entire 7 minutes or 3 minutes that you have spoken, but the last 10-15 seconds definitely needs to be memorable. So if this were an international speech, you would have your most powerful statement there. If this was a humorous speech, you would have a really strong joke in there. If it's an evaluation, you want to have something that is going to stand out about your speech, about your evaluation in there. Okay. All right. Now, we covered one point that typically all 8 people are going to give similar points because they're evaluating the same speech, right? So analysis could be similar. Recommendations might also be similar. What's going to set you apart from all your peers? I believe what's going to be different for you is your packaging, right? How are you packaging your evaluation? Start different. Don't start with, that was a wonderful speech. Okay, we know that. But bring something in that is different from what anybody else would say. Maybe, a short anecdote about that comes to your mind, maybe a question, maybe a joke, maybe a short story, song, whatever it is. But start with something different that immediately hooks the audience onto you. Be specific with your suggestions. Your body language could have improved, or I think your vocal variety could be better. That's not a suggestion. What would you do different? Maybe in the scene of that, where the old man was talking with you, I would give a sort of low tone and probably bend over a little bit to showcase what that old man was like. Or when you were happy, I would have those bright eyes and the celebratory sign. That's how I would have. That's a suggestion, right? So show how you would have done it or how you'd like to do it. Try and make it funny, light. You don't want it to be too serious. Be innovative. Use something from your speech. For example, if the speech was about a cricket match, you could say, in the analysis, I thought this, the way you portrayed that old man, that was a sixer. or the way you changed your voice to go along with the different parts of that speech, that was a boundary in my book. Then when you go to the recommendations part, you could say, for the second innings of my cricket game, I'm going to switch into the coach's mode and give you a few recommendations. So something like that. Be innovative in the way you present it. Try to plug in the speaker's name, maybe the theme, the location, any of these that will showcase your creativity and make it a little better. Yeah, so these are the 3 P's that will make your speech better. Every speech can improve, no matter what you think. Common mistakes that speeches maybe not a very impressive or emphatic intro and conclusion. Maybe they're not tied to each other. Some speeches have more than one message, which confuses the audience, have a very specific message, call to action, how I would have done it, or a personal story, pauses, humor, characters using the stage. These are common things that you need to watch out for. We take it for granted, but every speech can improve. The reason being that this is your opinion on how it can improve, right? This is not theory, this is your opinion. So you can give recommendations for any speech. How can you improve? Watch other evaluators. When a speech is going on, the only thing you need to evaluate is a paper and a pen. You don't have to be the designated evaluator. You can still evaluate every speech. And you can compare what you've put up with what the designated evaluator or the senior evaluators present. That's how you improve your evaluation in every meeting that you attend. All right? Get your mentors or seniors to give you feedback. When your VP education calls for evaluators, raise your hand. It's not that bad. They're not going to throw you out, cancel your passport, or starve you for 1 week. No. Maximum, they will clap a little lesser than they would. So never shy away from an opportunity. Pay Hashim no, you don't have to pay me for a copy of this presentation. I will share this with you. Honestly, I prefer if you buy me dinner. Just kidding, just kidding. Ice cream is fine. Never discourage a speaker. Whatever you do, like I told you before, your success lies in that speaker coming back and presenting better with your suggestions. That is your victory. To summarize everything, because we like to summarize, aim not to win, but to try and help make a better speaker. All right. So friends, that was my session for today. We've got a few minutes, of which I've already eaten a few, for Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, we'll very quickly go to them. And I will try it. Yes, Ashima. Go ahead.
Yes, thanks, Hashim, for a wonderful presentation. What I want to know is, I'm always confused. What exactly is summary? When I say summary, I pick up the challenge as a summary. But what exactly a summary should be? Like we say, there's supposed to be an introduction, then the commendations, recommendations, and challenge. I mean, analytical recommendations and technique, yes.
Okay. So how extensive your summary is depends upon how much time you've actually left for yourself. But at bare minimum, a summary should be the speech had a beautiful message with these 1, 2, 3 good points that I observed in your speech. I think that to improve, you can my suggestions are A, B, and C. And if you apply these, I'm sure it'll be a beautiful. You can take this speech 1 notch up. That's at a bare minimum what your summary should be. The more time you have, you can elaborate it a bit more. But remember, it's a summary. You don't need to detail every single thing that you said, but just try and touch upon as many points as you can. Yep.
Any more questions? You can put in the chat box or you can unmute yourself
So,
and answer. quickly.
Hashim, you
Yep.
mentioned conclusion, right? Conclusion and summary are 2 different things.
Yeah. So the summary is your summation of your evaluation, right? Your analysis and your recommendations. Conclusion is your final statement that you give right at the end to end your speech before you leave the stage. So just like every speech has an opening and a closing, this is your closing. Right after the summary, maybe 1 sentence, just to, or it could be part of your summary itself, the last bit of your summary that you present as a bang on conclusion to leave the stage at a high impact note.
Any more questions, anyone?
We gained
either
some confidence listening to the sessionist. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So either I explained it well or nobody understood a thing, but I hope it's the former and you've all got tips that you can use. Let's move on and then we will see how the evaluators do today. Back to the
Awesome.
Toastmaster of the day.